So, hello everybody. But I thought I'd tell you just a little bit about the ordination in Taiwan, where I was a witness. And so Venerable Damcha and I went. The training program had been in process a week. They had already had the Shramanera ordination. And so they were training for the Bhikshuni ordination. So the Chinese have these programs that can range from 1 month to 3 months long to train you as at the beginning of your ordination. They take people who have been ordained some years before, or at least have lived in a temple for several years, and so know how, a little bit about how to live in a community and are pretty firm in their practice. And so we went during the training period for the full ordination. Venerable Damcha stayed on because they didn't have a suitable English translator for the English speakers there. So when I heard about that, and remembering my own experience of my ordination and not having translation, I said, stay there and translate for these people. So that's where she is. So the training program, that we had, they had teachings every morning, and then the afternoon they had rehearsal, because it's quite a long process. It's not like in the Tibetan tradition where you go in and an hour and a half later you're out and you go, now what do I do? It's, a whole learning thing, and the ordination itself takes some time. So there's a lot of prayers, a lot of bowing, requesting the masters. In the case of the nuns, they have to request the Bhikshuni masters and the Bhikshu masters. The actual masters usually just come a day or two before the ordination itself, and then they leave right afterwards. So we were there considerably earlier and got to see the training and take notes on it and learn how they do it and everything like that. So it was very, you got to know the people, you got to see get the feel of what they were going through, and it's hard work, because you have to bow and stand up and do this and line up, and you can't move, and you've got to be there 10 minutes before anything started. It was done in silence. People who spoke had to kneel in front of everybody during practice. The guides were there. The guides were wonderful, very compassionate people, but they don't mince words, and when you mess up, they tell you. But all of them, no matter how they communicated, it was really to help people. And our Venerable Sepel was there, and for those of you who know Venerable Bani, who she's been ordained 44 years, I think, after you and between me, yeah, and or before me. And she's been waiting 44 years to have this ordination. But when we saw her and Venerable Sepel, who's been waiting 18 years, they both said how much they appreciated the training in the Chinese tradition, and they really wished that could be spread more also in the Tibetan tradition. So they really worked very hard. Some of them were quite nervous. There was a head shikshamana. She had to chant some things alone in front of everybody. There were different team leaders, and if people in their teams messed up, they got called out, and then, of course, anybody who messed up got called out. So they were working very hard. They were nervous. But it was so wonderful being a witness in the ceremonies, because I had gotten to know these people over the 2-week time we were there. And then, you see them come in and they take the ordination, they come in and they're nervous and they take the ordination, and they go out, and some of them burst into tears after they leave the ordination room. So for the nuns, they went first to the nuns' Sangha, and then later in the day to the monk Sangha. So I was at the blessing of the platform and at some of the nuns' ordinations with the Bhikshuni Sangha. I was a witness there. And also when the monks do their part of the Bhikshuni ordination, the nuns are also in the room. So it's really dual. And I was there too for about half of the nuns. So, or third of whatever it was. But it was so wonderful, watching them come out and being lit up, and this feeling of, because they worked very hard and they wanted to be Bhikshunis very much. They really understood it, they wanted it, and then they were just radiant afterwards. And coming out of the monk's ordination, the first evening, was the ordination platform was up on the roof of the building was 5 stories, plus a ground floor. And so, we were on the roof in the cool night air, and all of them were there, and the monks read them the 8 root precepts and so on. And then we got to congratulate them. So in the Chinese tradition, there's little 4-word or 4-phrase sentences, something that you say, and then everybody says Amitofo. And so the different witnesses got to say something. Well, I didn't know that it's a 4-word or 4-line thing. So I got on the mic and I just told them what I felt. Not for very long, I didn't monopolize. But, I was just so happy for them. And I said, you're at the beginning of this, your lifelong commitment is the wonderful thing that you're doing. And, I was just so happy. I really learned what it meant to rejoice. Yeah, that because there was nothing, sometimes when you practice rejoicing, you have to kind of coach yourself along, and it's like, yeah, they did that good, and I'm happy, and they're a good person, yeah. But this was just unfabricated rejoicing. I was so happy for them. And then even though we weren't supposed to talk to them, sometimes when we met them in the corridors, we would, after the ordination, because everybody was so excited, we would say a few things. When they introduced the witnesses, they asked me to say a little bit, and I did, reminding them of the purpose of the ordination, reminding them of their motivation, and so on. And after that, I was very surprised, because Venerable Damcha told me that several nuns came up to her and asked if she had recorded what I had said, because she had translated it. She hadn't recorded, but the sponsors, the sponsoring temple had. And then after the ordination, they had asked me to also give a talk in the morning. So it was a 2-session talk with a break in the middle. And the monks were there, and traditionally in Chinese Buddhism, the monks do not receive teachings from the nuns. They actually miss out on a lot. The nuns receive teachings from both the monks and the nuns, so they can learn a lot. The monks can only receive it from monks, so they miss out on a lot of things. So this wasn't a formal teaching. We didn't have all the things of inviting the teacher where you bow and ring the bell and all that kind of stuff. But, I went up there and sat there, and the monks were there, and I just talked about what I thought was important. And we got really good feedback. I can't remember what I talked about now. But just, about what's important and the mental attitude to have about your ordination, about handling afflictions, about what your purpose is as a monastic, what you're doing in your life. So it was yeah, it was just very wonderful, and especially seeing the young nuns, and knowing that they're young. It was like, you're seeing the future of the Buddha Dharma. And right at the beginning with these little gems who just got ordained. And it was so beautiful to see. Yeah. So that was the big part of my trip. Yeah. So we also took some videos of how they do the ordination. We took lots of notes. We now have the English translation of the whole ceremony. It's a booklet this big on regular 8.5 by 11 paper, so you can see it's not some quick thing. Yeah, but it was really exciting. And the guides, they're the ones who really do the training and the hard work and are supervising everybody. We had lunch with our meals with them, yeah. So it was very nice because then we got to talk. We asked them questions. They asked us questions. It was a very nice exchange, and and they were really very generous with their time in terms of answering our questions. And then also we requested to see. We met with all of the three, you had the three main preceptors for the women and 3 for the men. So we met with all 6 privately. We requested and then were able to meet with them. So we had some very interesting discussions that way. And also were able to ask them questions, which was really very helpful. Yeah. So really good. So very big cause for rejoicing.